that you might name as you experience spiritual support. And this is important to understand because when you know where your true power comes from, you can align with it more wholly and sustainably. When you know where your true power comes from, you create a beautiful, powerful opportunity to transcend the perspective of the ego. And where ego is not, true spiritual power is. So to understand your higher self, it can be helpful to understand what it is not. And when we refer to the ego, this is the lower self. This is the part of us that experiences separation from God. It is a limited, illusory perspective of reality from which all potential for negativity arises. It is the birthplace of fear and suffering. Because as we experience this perspective of having fallen away from Source, we are also experiencing separateness from perfection, peace, love, and well-being. The lower self sees those things, perfection and well-being, as things that are outside of us that we must attain or cultivate. But the higher self simply embodies and radiates perfection, well-being, love, and peace. Because your higher self is the part of you that is one with God and fully realizes this always. The great task of a human life is to merge the consciousness of the lower self. So in other words, the part of you that feels separate and experiences the earthly passing of time and the formation of desires and judgments and thoughts and pains and so forth, with the consciousness of the higher self, to merge the lower self with the higher self. So in other words, the great human spiritual act is to deliver this lower self perspective into the perspective of God, into the perspective of the higher self, unity and love. When we succeed in doing so, even if it's just for maybe a passing moment, that is when we experience blissful revelations, spiritual passion, maybe feelings of unity with the universe, or spiritual outpourings of love, transcendent peace, and all those other sensations that we associate with touching the divine. That is the feeling of the lower self realizing the truth and merging with the higher self. And the lower self, interestingly, exists in a constant state of yearning for and seeking the divine, the higher self. Everything that the lower self ever wants, whether your want is for money or love or health or success or rest, approval, fulfillment, everything that the lower self wants is really a wanting for God, a yearning for that truth and perfection and love from which we originate. Except that the lower self usually doesn't know how to go about finding what it's really seeking. It usually does a pretty bad job of that. In fact, as it often searches for God from the same perspective that creates separation from God in the first place, then it finds the opposite. So for example, the ego desires and desires, and we know that what it really desires is God, but instead, let's say that it goes searching for money. Maybe it spends decades and decades trying to accumulate it, spend it, and so forth, just thinking, that must be where my peace and perfection went. It's there in the money. But unity and realization of God cannot be found in a passing, temporal, earthly form like money. Though God's presence does flow through everything, God's presence is in everything. Once we believe that money, for example, or any other form is the source of that God stuff, then we've fallen short, missed the mark, or have gotten lost in yet another illusion that we are somehow separate from it, separate from God. You'll find the source of what you're really seeking your whole life by turning your focus within. You see, God is one with you already, so the most effective path to follow to experience God is not to go off seeking things that are outside of you. Stop searching for meaning. It's not out there. Go within. Go within and observe. And you'll notice that past the noise of the mind, there is an unmistakable force flooding out through the cracks between your thoughts. Go into the silence and stillness of complete non-attachment to those thoughts of the lower self. Go into pure presence. That presence, when you dive into it and merge your consciousness with it, is all. It is inhabited by the source of all. When you touch that state of realization, you are one with your higher self. Your higher self knows and experiences perfect unity with God eternally, constantly, 24/7 in a state of divine love and knowingness of the divine truth. And the amazing thing about life is that the higher self is always reaching out to us. It's always seeking to lead and guide us. Even if our lives are a cacophony of lower self-driven perspectives and experiences, the higher self is anchored within us right here, right now. And from it flows powerful instincts. The instinctual reaching for love that we all have, for example, is the presence of your higher self, anchored in your heart. The experience of joy, bliss, and passion, these are often signposts drawing us forth into a higher order, a higher intelligence and purpose that we all belong to. Those are our divine instincts. And when we follow the signposts of the higher self, we can actually shape our existence in the image of greater unity with the eternal light. We learn to hold space for a more sustained embodiment of that higher self. And again, when we follow those signposts of the higher self, the key of that journey is not to search for those things, again, the love, that sense of meaning, in the outer temporal forms. It's not there in the house, in the money, in the job, in the reputation, the success, whatever it is. It's in the source. It is a formless, eternal light. So a very simple way of being able to visualize and understand the presence of the higher self where it appears within the lower self like this is to visualize a yin-yang symbol. This is an ancient symbol that comes to us from China, from the Book of Changes, also known as the I Ching. It's likely we've all probably seen this symbol before, but if you can't picture it in your mind, go ahead and actually pull up an image of it on your phone or computer right now. Go ahead and look at it. You'll notice that in the dark side of the symbol, there is a spot of light, anchored like an island in that darkness. This symbol is telling us something very powerful and universally true, that even in the depths of egoic suffering, there is holiness. There emerges a concentrated focal point of light from suffering, wherein our suffering has become so great that our reaching for God has become even greater, that our desire for well-being and wholeness and completeness and love becomes even greater than the suffering, and we see the light. We have a doorway to go in. Now, look at the other side of the symbol. On the light side of the symbol, you will notice that there is a pool of darkness. What does this mean? Well, our world, our current collective frame of consciousness, is dual. Duality is expressed in everything. And dual just means two sides. So where there is temperature, for example, there is both the potential for hot and cold. That's duality. And so long as there still exists the consciousness of both the lower self and the higher self, and we continue to experience them separately while we are in this life, even in the light, even in moments of comfort, peace, stability, knowingness, confidence, well-being, and so forth. Even in other words, in a lifestyle in which you have followed and anchored what your higher self has guided you to do, there is a potential to experience darkness. Because when the ego gets a hold of something, while the ego, or fallen away from God nature, still exists, it will usually turn even your loveliest of comfort zones into a cage, and mistake those comforts for God, mistake them as your source, and so create limitations, and likely unknowingly trap you away from that genuine connection to true source. That is why it isn't always a good thing to get too comfortable. There is a bit less growth sometimes in comfort, less reaching for divine realization there. And this is why we engage in spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is important if you wish to touch the higher self and access its strength, healing, comfort, and wisdom, to hold space for all of that in your life. Spiritual practice, you see, is a kind of voluntary suffering that disciplines the ego. For example, meditation. It's not always an easy thing to do. Disciplining your mind, learning to detach from thoughts and to hold space for quiet, that's not easy. It's not all scented candles and floaty music and relaxation. It is the stuff of warriors. Disciplining yourself to hold yourself in meditation. It can be a crushingly humbling spiritual practice, an experience that takes will force and dedication. And you could say this of many forms of spiritual practice. The more that you practice voluntary, ego-humbling selflessness, the less you usually need to unconsciously attract other forms of suffering, such as a loss, a tragedy, an illness, or some other thing like that. And even if you do stumble upon a form of hardship like that, your voluntary practice in suffering the ego, will likely make it so that those hardships don't really hurt so bad or shake your faith so much anyways, because you will have practiced non-attachment to ego-derived things and practiced holding faith in the true source. So much, you'll have practiced that so much already that it's not so shockingly or deeply upsetting, we'll say, if a tree falls on your house and destroys the roof. you'll know that your house is not the source of shelter. God is. And everything is perfect and will be perfect, because in God, you are eternal shelter. You're one with eternal shelter. While holding space within your consciousness for that kind of knowingness, that faith, that understanding, your reality would have no choice but to show up in a sheltering manner. So the angels invite us to not be attached to the form that power takes, but to look instead to the source from which it comes. And you'll deepen the anchoring of your higher self within your life. You'll have taken a step in unifying this earthly consciousness we have with the truth of our origin in the eternal light of divine love. To discover and embody the higher self in this dual world, to rise above the limited perspective of the lower self, the key to this lies not in trying to kill or reject fear and suffering, but to embrace and unify it. The higher self embraces, integrates, and unifies with the lower self, and delivers us into oneness with the divine all. I'd like to read to you some words that were channeled through Barbara Brodsky that come to us from an ascended master by the name of Aaron. To seek to destroy fear is to take a coward's path. How much more difficult, how much grander to embrace that which you dread. You must draw fear into the heart of love. How shall I do this, you ask, when I quiver in my humanness, tremble with fear and anger, burn with desire, and shriek my pain to the universe? How shall I love without first ridding myself of these torturous experiences of the mind and body? And the answer comes, so you still wish to believe that you must get rid of this humanness to enact your divinity? No. And again, no. That is the path for those who would close their hearts. It is a path that ends at a steep precipice from which there is no way but to backtrack. It is a path of force, named often as self-discipline, but no less brutal for the euphemism. The path of love requires discipline. But it is a sternness born of loving kindness and compassion, not of hatred. It asks the constancy of attention, of mindfulness, of presence. It asks the heart to remain open when it would fly away in anguish, or clamp itself shut and bar all that grates upon it and makes it bleed. This is the discipline that is asked, to be present, always, with the heart open. If it were not possible, that is the lesson offered by the Incarnation. You can find that passage in the book Human, which is a fully this topic, that the higher self is all-powerful because it is aligned with God. With God, you are powerful. So remember this when the ego arises. With God, you are powerful. You see, the ego has two extremes. It either likes you to believe that you are nothing and powerless, or it likes you to believe that you, as a separate self, again, are all powerful, that any good you create comes from you and you alone, that your perspective is the perspective. Both extremes would have you experience the same thing: separateness from the true power, the true source, and your true spiritual identity. You are not small, powerless, and nothing, because when you stand with God, you allow yourself to channel it. And you are capable, when you stand with God, of miracles. You are capable of miracles. Nor is the human mind and invention alone the highest power in the universe and the only creator or cause of meaning. Because anything you perceive or create, you do because you are an instrument of the consciousness of the divine. The violin is not what makes music. It is the musician playing the violin that causes music to spring to life. To understand this is to help anchor and discover the higher self. All good things in manifestation, co-creation, or law of attraction that you'll ever experience are yours because you are joining your consciousness to a higher consciousness. You're allowing yourself to channel a higher power. And so again, one of our greatest pursuits is to humble the ego and work to hold space within our awareness to perceive and embody divine truth, to unify the lower self with the higher self, and see a whole new creation spring forth from it. With that thought, I think that this would be a lovely moment to join together in meditation. So if you are in a nice environment to pause and meditate with us, go ahead and take a moment to get nice and comfortable and relaxed. And we'll just take a short break and listen to these messages before we begin.
Hi, Sarah Hall here. I'm offering you a wonderful new opportunity to expose your business to my audience. Email the Bring Me to Life team at ads@sarahhall.com and let us know if you'd be interested in this special offer. You can feel great about supporting a message you believe in while bringing your own services to light. Again, email us at ads@sarahhall.com for more details.
Begin by closing your eyes and taking in a few nice, long, and deep, healing breaths. Feel as your body relaxes, noticing a quiet, softening sensation flowing throughout your being. And as this beautiful relaxation spreads throughout you, notice that your mind begins to grow still as well. Feel how easy it is to notice the gaps of spaciousness that pour out between your thoughts. Feel the space between each word that you hear from my voice. Dip within that silence, that expansive stillness. And rest. Allowing your consciousness to flow out in that spacious place now. From within the unified center of your consciousness, a beautiful, sparkling, divine light pours out. Breathe that light. And hold the following simple thought within your mind. I am. I am. Notice the space between the words I and am. Feel pure light pouring out from the space between these words. And the light that pours out before and after them. An endless, vast infinity of pure presence and light. With your next deep breath, notice that your vibration is ever so subtly rising up, becoming lighter, floating. Gaze into the mirror and look upon an image of your higher self. This is you in a state of perfect peace, love, and heavenly perfection. Feel the deep stillness and presence emanating from within your heart and from this mirror image of your higher self. With your next deep breath, allow yourself to merge with this image of your higher self now, drawing this state of being into all that is you as you breathe. And with your next deep breath, allow the following silent words to emanate in your mind, affirming with your inner spiritual quiet voice. With God, I am an unlimited being. I am power, love, perfection, and well-being. I am one with God. And I allow this awareness to resonate in all corners of my consciousness. And so it is. With your next deep breath, breathe this state of being into your physical body, feeling the light pouring through your physical body cells, moving down the spine, through the arms and out the fingertips, through the legs and out the feet, rooting and anchoring in the earth. We'll take in just one last deep healing breath here, holding space for the light. And then with your next exhale, you can gently open the eyes and shift back to your waking presence right here. So now is our time where we will begin to take some calls for readings today. I do see that many of you have already submitted questions in our chat room. If you'd like to do so, just go ahead and scroll down to the chat area at bringmetolife.com or submit a reading request by calling or texting 240-979-6366. That's 240-979-6366. Then today I'll be working with the Messages from the Guides Transformation cards by James Van Praagh. So let's go ahead and see what we've got today for our readings. Angels, where would you like me to go first? Okay. I'm getting guided to go to a question that came from the chat room. This is from Robert. The question says, I would love to hear what the angels have to say on what I need to know about connecting with my higher self and where I need to focus to most effectively work on this. Thank you so much, Robert, for your question. So, aside from all of the general guidance that we've received from the angels, to develop a spiritual practice on this, we can actually get some individualized guidance on this kind of thing as well, because each of us are focused at different points on our path. Each of us have different perspectives on the path. So, I'm going to turn over a couple of cards for you, Robert, and just see what the angels would like to give you, what messages they're leading into your life right now at this particular time, what will help to bring more space for the higher self for you in your life. Ooh, I love this. Okay, I just turned over the first card, and it's take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility. So what I'm hearing your angels tell us from this is that when we go through life and we experience, let's say, for example, challenges, or we experience things that seem like they maybe stand in the way between us and the thing that maybe we want to manifest, or even between us and our peace, between us and our higher self, the angels are saying it can be very helpful and empowering, actually, to take a perspective of responsibility for these things and to say, you know what, perhaps this is something that, if I manifested in some way, or I played a part in bringing forward in my life, then by gosh, I've also got the power to change it. It's very empowering to take responsibility. So begin by taking inventory of your life and seeing where you can kind of do that, where you can have more consciousness or increased awareness, in other words, of where your own actions or patterns or thoughts or perspectives have contributed to manifesting what you experience around you. And in seeing this, you've got this incredible power to break down the walls of limitation, the illusion of limitation. And that can be very helpful. By the way, Robert, you have Archangel Uriel around you really strong today. Your next card is the card that says, love is your energy. Love is your energy. So that's a very simple message. It says that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what little challenges or obstacles or anything that you might see around you, remember to go back to love and to anchor in love, and to remember that your identity is love. Because when we start doing what the angels have guided you to do today, take inventory of our lives, increase our awareness of how we've played a role in what we've manifested, this can often lead us to a big opportunity to break down the presence of ego. We start to see how it works. And the angels are saying that change is very safe, because your identity doesn't lie in the old things that you set up around yourself, maybe in your comfort zone or your patterns or your thought cycles or perspectives or whatever. Love is your identity. Love is the only identity that you need to focus on. And in love, you are forever safe. You are forever safe. So call upon Uriel and ask him to guide you in this taking inventory that he's showing will be so beautiful and helpful for you right now. And thank you for your question. I'm seeing that we also have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead and introduce yourself. You're on the air now, and let us know your question.
Hi, my name is Nishan, and I have, if it's okay, like one general question and one specific question, but they're both related to just the connection with a higher self. And the first part of it is I have been asking certain questions and asking for unmistakable clarity and guidance regarding that answer, whether through a physical sensation or a sound or something. And I'm wondering, am I at a space now of purity where I can absolutely, without condition, trust the guidance that comes through in my mind when I'm asking a question?
That's a great question. Your angels have something really amazing to say to that. Thank you so much. That actually brings up quite a profound concept, Nishan. So I love that you brought that up. What your angels are saying in response to that is that it's going to be important to continually cultivate a spiritual practice around receiving guidance from the angels, because for most of us, our ego will still somewhat be a little bit here and a little bit playing a role in some of the things that arrive into our mind. So it takes a lot of continued lifelong spiritual practice and discipline to receive that ironclad sense of receiving a spiritual piece of guidance that we can, trust with everything. So they're saying, yes, trust everything that you receive, but trust it with non-attachment. So if you're feeling guided, let's say, to take a certain action step that, it feels like you're getting, maybe even from your angels, from your higher self, from within, say, okay, I trust exactly what I've gotten. I'm trusting the thing that came up. I'm not going to doubt it. But I'm also not going to attach to it as my final law, I guess, of where I have to stick to and remain attached now and forever and always. I'm going to be open to every possibility, open to the possibility that this is absolutely coming from a higher calling. And for all intents and purposes, we can trust the things that feel like they have a lot of a sense of passion and love around them. Because more often than not, yes, there is a grain of light in those things. Those things are coming from a calling that comes from the higher self, from God, from the angels, from this higher intelligence that we can contact. But again, the ego can be there every once in a while. So if we have non-attachment to it, then we get flexible. We get flexible to the possibility that it's like, okay, maybe in some way I'm not exactly seeing, the full possible truth with all of this. So I'm just going to follow the best guidance that I have right now. Follow the feelings of big old, trust that I've got coming in, and that I'm just going to go with and see where the journey will take me from here. So hopefully that makes sense for you.
Yeah, it does. And I'm wondering if I could ask, like, just almost like a verification or clarification on something I've been praying and asking for a lot when I just spend time sitting. The first thing is that sitting for longer periods of time, and I say sitting, I mean meditating for longer periods of time, would support what you mentioned in the beginning of strengthening or making that connection clearer. And one of the things that I've been asking is just regarding guidance about an eventual living situation for a place that I will be moving shortly, and if it will be some kind of a community setting, or how really I'll be able to sustain living in this place, because this type of literal journey is something that is very new for me.
Yes. Wow. So, first of all, yes to meditation. I get amazing confirmation and a lot of light pouring out from the angels. As you mentioned, meditation, that's a great practice for you. Wonderful that you have a regular practice around that. And around moving, I'm hearing the angels saying the words trust, and also to practice staying in the present moment with it. Staying in the present moment with it. So they're showing us that, there's going to be a little bit of a balancing act where sometimes we're purely present. We're just worrying about the day that we're in, the moment that we're in, and that kind of thing. That's actually good for our peace of mind, and it's good for noticing opportunities that can actually, if we follow them, become very sustainable support systems for our future. That's very, very good. But we'll also want to balance a part of us that's looking to the future. Okay, well, if I know I'm here today, then where will I live tomorrow? I need to have a sense of, where I will go. They're saying balance by really, really staying in the moment and cultivating this consciousness of trust. This consciousness of trust, because as you're the week after that, and then the month after that, and you'll get more of a sense of being sustainably rooted. So be very, very, very present with everything. Take everything one baby step at a time, And it's okay to have goals. It's okay to have a consciousness of, okay, I'm working towards something, even as I'm, focusing on staying present and being unattached and meditating through this practice of my daily life. There's this beautiful feeling of trust that kind of, it seems to manifest a lot of hope for you along this path. I pulled one card for this as well, by the way. And the card to show up is be yourself. Be yourself. I like that because I'm feeling this expression coming out from it. So your self-expression is you connect with other people and you just be yourself and you offer yourself. You'll start to notice that there are opportunities that show up from that. Ask for what you want and you'll receive it. In other words, be yourself. Hold your intention of I want to root here, or you'll not be short of opportunities. But yeah, you might have to do something to get to them. You might have to get up and walk to the place where you fill out the application where there is a job, or you might have to, there's physical action steps as well. But cultivate that feeling of trust behind it and through everything that you do, your guides are saying.
Okay. Thank you. And I just want to say before I go that I thank you for your consistent, wherever I find some limitation in my perspective, you just consistently expand it into something that feels so peaceful. So I'm very grateful for that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you so, so much for calling in today. It's always an honor to be connected. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it looks as if we have another caller on the line now. Let's see if we can just go ahead and switch over. Caller, it looks like you're on the line. If you'd like to just go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what your question is for today. Looks like our line is just switching over. Hi, you are on the air now. This is for Through the Eyes of the Angels. Am I speaking with our caller for today?
Hi, yes, Sarah, this is Uma.
Hi, Uma. Thank you so much. We had a little bit of a funny tech thing with the phone and it just kind of popped over to you. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but I'm so glad that you're now on the air. And what is the question that you would like to ask your guides today?
Yeah, I would love to know about what's coming up next in my business. I have been dealing with, I think, a lot of blocks to both physical health and financial health. And I'm really changing the focus of my coaching business right now. And I got really sick in December, and I'm still kind of coming out of this period of having fevers and, feeling viral. And I've taken it as a bit of a stop sign that I need to stop and regroup and just decide, what's the next thing, and not to just keep going, blindly in the same direction in my business. So I'm not sure what the next thing is. I mean, maybe for now it's just to rest and heal physically. But at the same time, there's new ideas that are being born that I'm excited about, and I'm just not sure which one of these I should be the most focused on right now. For example, I'm really getting into A Course in Miracles and have the nudge to talk about it more, publicly, like blogging about it and things like that. And then more specifically, there's a course that's sort of in my heart, the Magic of Self-Love. And then I have a one-on-one coaching offering on magic coaching that I started doing last year. So I'm just trying to figure out if I'm supposed to stop right now and do nothing, or pick up on one of those things that I talked about, or just what? What am I supposed to be doing right now?
Yes. Wow. It sounds like you're in a very, very powerful, powerful phase of transition. And it's amazing the work that you're being called to do. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to completely confirm for you from your angels that you are very much on the right track. This is the kind of work that you're meant to be doing. And you have the ability to really, really help people in an amazing way. So the angels are, first of all, showing us around the illness that you've experienced. You are totally right. You're in such an amazing mind frame. This is a great opportunity that's being handed you to pause and to focus on yourself, to focus on self-healing. and to really just prioritize that. That's something that's so amazing for you. The angels are showing us that at the same time, you can still, okay, so you're receiving a lot of divinely guided ideas. I'm definitely getting that. I'm just checking into the angels around you, and they're saying, oh yeah, this is coming from higher places. That's very true. So take that higher guidance that you are receiving and definitely know that this is stuff that you can start putting into action. Your angels are telling us right now that there's going to be a balance between beginning to implement little things around this and on, your healing and your self-care. I pulled a card for you, and it's the Stay Open-Minded card. So it's almost as if the angels are saying, no, we don't want you to go towards one extreme or the other where you're only focusing on healing yourself and you're not doing anything for your life purpose, because you'd likely start to feel a little antsy, a little bored, or a little, I'm supposed to be doing something more. You'd feel a calling. Nor are you supposed to, throw yourself all the way into just working around the clock and burning the candle at both ends without focusing on yourself. They're saying have a balance of both and err on the side of healing yourself a little bit more than anything else until you start to get better and better and better and better and really feel strong and centered. But you're sowing seeds right now, the angels are saying, and it looks like for the next couple of weeks at least, there's this beautiful feeling of continually receiving ideas that help to flesh out those 3 action steps that you've been guided to do: the Course in Miracles, the course to teach on the self-love, and also the one-on-one coaching. They're showing us you can actually do all 3. I'm not feeling that you should, cross one of those off the list, but it feels like that Course in Miracles, we want to maybe even lead with that, and see how that pervades into everything else that you feel guided to do. You're almost getting, they're showing us your energy, your frequency is getting programmed by working with Course in Miracles to higher intelligence. And again, that's going to flow into all the things that you do, and it's going to be amazing. So just take little balanced baby steps, and you are so on the right track. It looks like things are definitely going to be growing for you.
Thank you. Is there anything on the physical side, the healing side, that I need to be doing that I'm not already doing?
Let's go ahead and see what they're showing us here. I'm looking at Archangel Raphael, who's showing us just a little scan of your physical body health. And what he's showing us, actually, I keep getting beautiful ruby red colors, and I'm hearing him say the word antioxidants. And then it feels like I'm looking at like a dark, almost purpley ruby red from like an elderberry. And he's showing us this kind of flushing through the system. So it feels like we're gravitating towards medicines, but they don't feel like, the kind we get at the pharmacy. They feel like medicines that come from nature for sure. And he's showing us add in just all kinds of these medicines because they are ancient and they've evolved with the human body over thousands of years, and they know how to fix and train the microbiome, which is made up of all the little pathogens that, flow through your body, including any viruses or anything else like that. So go towards, again, foods, herbs, fruits, vegetables, those kinds of things, plants. They feel to be your highest medicine right now. And again, anything that is very high in antioxidants, I just feel it doing battle with any pathogens that aren't so welcome in your microbiome, and then teaching, the good pathogens, or we'll say the good bacteria, or in other words, rather, the teaching those how to flourish, teaching those how to even be stronger in the face of this pathogen that you're now detoxing. Lastly, I'm seeing just liquids flowing through you. Raphael just showed an image of a waterfall flowing through you. So connect with liquids, not only water, but also teas and fresh pressed juices. He's very specific about that. And as far as teas go, he's showing me images of boiling like ginger, fresh ginger root in water. You can add turmeric, maybe even a little lemon to that, and let that flow through your system. We're seeing that that's bringing down any inflammation. And again, it's clearing out any pathogens with time, and lots of gentle nourishing. You're going to see some really, really good healing come forward. He's pointing to supplements as well. He says you can always get a little bit of help too from supplements so that we get our isolated little nutrients from things. Taking vitamin C, for example, loads of it every day. Feels really good. Tune into Raphael for help with how much you feel guided to take, or do a little research or talk to your doctor if you feel like you'd like, a specific number on it. I do also feel a really good feeling coming from zinc for you as well. So look at that. And Raphael's saying too that he'll guide you towards any other supplements that you're meant to take that could really help you with getting back into balance. And then other than that, just sleep and de-stress and just turn all of your energy within, inward.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah, so much. I appreciate that.
Yay. Thank you, Uma. Thank you so much for calling today. It was great to talk with you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do, we've got just a couple minutes left. We're just going to squeeze in another couple of readings here really quick. All right. The angels are guiding me to go to a reading request from Rose. Rose says she's from Australia, and it's her 27th birthday later this month. Happy birthday. Yay. Rose says, I'd love an angel reading for the year, especially since it will be the start of my Saturn return years. Yes. Astrological reports say it will be a difficult time for me, and I could use some hope from the angels. Thank you. Love and light. Yes, Rose. Yes. First of all, your angels are saying it's not going to be as bad as you think. Sometimes that Saturn return time can take us to unexpected places. It depends on which area of life is most important for there to be some growth, some pressure that's put upon you for growth. And again, they're saying it's easier than you think. Once you get into the middle of the eye of the storm, you're going to see everything flowing around you, all the little changes and perspective shifts and that kind of thing. And you're going to realize, hey, this is actually not so bad. I can handle this. Now, the next thing that the angels are saying is that this time in your life, any challenges that do come, any major shifts in perspectives that may come in your life are actually okay. They're actually okay. They're not, things that feel like they're just here to make you suffer for suffering's sake. You can thank them. They are gifts. These pressures that are put from the outside world, they are gifts because they are helping you to cultivate something amazing, an incredible strength. So here's one example of voluntary suffering, as we talked about it, earlier today from the angels' messages that we got on our topic. Exercise, physical exercise. Let's say that we decide to become bodybuilders. We want to go to the gym and doesn't feel comfortable to sit lifting weights. Sometimes it might take all the willpower in the world to get yourself to get up and go to the gym after your muscles are aching and you've sweat your body fluids out the day before, but you go back. Voluntary suffering again, and you continue to practice. And the beauty in that, the angels are saying, is that you get something at the end of it. You become strong. Your whole body at the end of a practice like that would become a completely different body. It looks different. It functions differently. It's stronger at every subtle level of being, and it even likely imprints a little more body intelligence within you. That's the analogy that they kind of want to give you about this Saturn return time in your life, going into these years, these important formative years. It is a beautiful time for changing, for healing, for growing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rose, for your request. We're just going to squeeze in one final quick message for Fantasia. Fantasia says, I feel like I've been in a rut and I'm trying to transform several areas of my life. Any messages from the angels regarding my higher purpose and which areas to tackle first? I'm very motivated to make a positive shift. Okay, thank you so much, Fantasia, for that question. Your angels are showing us that transformation is possible for you in the simple things. They're saying focus on the simple, on the everyday, on the tasks that are right in front of you. Sometimes the simplest, most humbling things are the things that are going to create the most love and well-being in your life. I pulled a card for you and it says your beliefs are right for you. Your beliefs are right. So this shows that you're already on the right path. It looks as if the angels have already been supplying you through law of attraction with a lot of beautiful concepts, a beautiful perspective to take on life. Now they just want to shift your perspective away from seeing, the challenges, and instead of wanting to maybe resist the challenges, embrace them. Embrace them, draw them into your heart. That's how you transform those areas of life that you want to transform. Draw those things within. You're going to see something really, really healing occur as you embrace any challenges and focus on the simple tasks, simple every day. Okay, we're going to just squeeze in, it looks like one final question. I know we're just a touch over the time today, but the angels are really guiding us to go over to Beth. They're saying that she's been going through a deep process of healing. Beth says, I'm going through a deep process of healing from years of PTSD, anxiety, and physical pain. I've seen that I have a tendency to look outside of myself for support, and I wonder what messages the angels might have for me in my healing process. Okay, so the angels are saying that deep beneath these experiences that you've been having, the PTSD and anxiety, they're just showing us what feels to be a repeated subconscious feeling of abandonment, feeling separate, or abandoned in some way from well-being, from love, from God. You might even be able to attribute this to relationships or to other, experiences that you could point to specifically in your life, Beth. But they're telling us actually to go ahead and to focus on a light in your heart, actually literally breathing deeply in your meditative practice, if you could develop one, on your heart chakra. And notice that from within your heart chakra, the angels are sending you a memory, a reminder that you are, in fact, one with perfect unity and love from the divine, I'm hearing them say. And that there is no abandonment. There is no separation. There's no separateness here. I turned over a card, and the card says, live your bliss. They're saying it's time to stop overanalyzing life around you. Time to become aware of where you're worrying or allowing anxious thoughts to become attached to you. And to just see past them, start simplifying, and to live your bliss, to go towards the things that start to bring bliss in your life. And this will take you higher on the journey towards the things that are going to bring great love and well-being in your life, my dear. And my prayers are with you. And the angels are also saying to call upon them. You've got Archangel Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Raphael, 4 powerful angels all around you. So call upon all of them now. Thank you so much to everybody who called in, who texted, who joined in our chat today. We are going to be back right here on Bring Me to Life Radio next week on Thursday, January 23rd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Angel Hour, which is our show where we give a full hour of angel readings. So do mark your calendars for that. Come on back. You'll get your reading. And for next month, I'll be back for Through the Eyes of the Angels here on Bring Me to Life Radio on Thursday, February 20th. And again for Angel Hour on February 27th, both at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to listen again to today's episode or to share with a friend, you can find it on your favorite podcast at Sarah Hall 444, SARAHHALL 444, or you can visit my website, sarahhall.com, if you'd like an angel reading with me or a healing session, or to take one of my online angel courses. It's truly an honor to share with you, and I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much for your beautiful presence. Bye.